This is Houston Newsmakers with Khambrel Marshall.
Well, it hasn't taken very long for the new leadership in the House of Representatives to set the tone for a very different direction, calling for investigations of investigations, and now recently of President Biden for classified documents found on his properties, and pushing for changes in spending in exchange for approving raising the debt limit. And there's much more. We'll talk about all of that with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, representing the 18th Congressional District. Good morning. Good to see you, as always.
Good morning, and good to see you. Good to be here. Happy New Year to you and all of your viewers. I wish you a very good year.
Let's hope for. And we're hoping on that you can help us have a very good year as well. The debt limit is a conversation that's come up. Republicans have started to indicate that they want caps on spending in exchange for raising the debt limit. My understanding is one doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Absolutely does not. And the first point we should make is the American people voted in 2022 very close margins between Democrats and Republicans. I think they sent us there, as I've done over the years, to do our job. That's representative government. They did not send us there to have hostage-holding government. The debt limit is simply defined as the America paying her bills, being able to have a United States military, providing medical care for families and seniors, ensuring that we have the resources for protecting our environment, for protecting our national parks, for the international or the national transit system, highways, the ability to have safe skies. It is the running of the government. It's paying your bills. And your bills are not only domestic, they're international responsibilities. So I think Kevin McCarthy is going to have to be a leader and realize that the appropriations, which is spending, is far different from doing the constitutional and mandatory duty of raising the debt ceiling. The Secretary of the Treasury says we only have a few weeks, 11 weeks, and then we're in a very devastating condition.
And we'll talk more about that and the way the House is doing things now, because we're going to do Newsmakers Extra. Those of you who have been a part of this show before know that when the Congresswoman comes in, we have not enough time, so we'll be doing some more. Republicans couldn't wait for a chance to control the House, though. That was clear. And they've been promising investigations when they got in control. They are in control now. They didn't win the House by as big of a margin as they wanted, but they got a gift now recently. And that gift comes in the form of documents found in the home, in the office of a formerly occupied by then Vice President, and his home as well. And Republicans have been trying to compare that to what's been taking place with former President Trump, which is not quite the same because the former president knowingly took documents we know now and ignored subpoenas. So that the only similarity is that both had documents they shouldn't have had. But it can't be a good look for Democrats or the president at this point.
Let's own up to a very important point. There should be a chain of custody for documents that have a national security impact. I am on and have been on Homeland Security since 9/11. I'm on the subcommittee on intelligence. I chair the committee, have chaired it, on crime, terrorism, and Homeland Security. I deal with national security issues every single day that I'm in session in the United States Congress. I see classified documents. So the first thing is, no matter who you are, you should have a chain of custody that some other oversight says, these 2-3 documents are missing. Where are they? Bring them back.
Even if you're the president, it doesn't matter.
Even if you're the president of the United States. There is a distinctive difference, of course. The actions of President Biden were overtly get these documents to where they needed to be immediately when they were discovered by his personal counsel. There was no argument about, I want to keep them. There was no argument about, I had declassified them. There was, if you will, repenting by getting these documents to the National Archives. The National Archives called the Department of Justice, and no one from the Biden administration or Mr. Biden tried to block it. On the other hand, hundreds of documents are at Mar-a-Lago. The former president represented a bogus argument that he had the right to declassify any of these documents anytime he wanted. If he thought they were, that he wanted to declassify, he didn't even have to say it. He thought it in his mind. That's absolutely outrageous and a jeopardy to the United States. In addition, let me be very clear. We are still suspicious of the former president's interactions with despots like Vladimir Putin and Xi in China. And so there is some concern about those documents getting in the wrong hands, to be frank. And so there is the difference in the comparison, and more importantly, there is still a fight with the former president about these documents. There's no fight, President Biden. Did I want this to be on, in essence, in our column at this point? Absolutely not. But I don't want any classified documents to be misused and abused, because my important responsibility is for the people of the United States and their safety.
Point made about having a chain of custody. Let's talk about the Democrats here in the minority once again, and the way the Republicans have started to lead now. What is your concern, if you have any, about the ability of this Congress to get things done?
Well, first of all, we're certainly looking toward 2024, which will come very quickly, to change back to Democratic leadership. And we look forward to being the adults in the room. But I am always convinced, because I've done it over the years and had any number of successes with the kind of bipartisan legislation has been successful, that we can do some things. Let me announce that Chairman McCall, Republican, and myself have introduced the Stop Human Trafficking legislation. Will be a major initiative to stop sex trafficking at our schools. And for anyone that doesn't think that exists, know the history of the Royal Palms High School in Florida, where Jeffrey Epstein recruited 15 students for sex trafficking. And human trafficking is so deadly and devastating because you use that entity, that person, over and over again. So we're going to do that. I think there are ways that we can work on appropriations. Obviously, the defense appropriation, which a lot of people find overly costly, still that's going to have to be bipartisan. Appropriations is going to have to be bipartisan. And I hope that the fight against violent extremism, that's what I'm going to have as one of my major efforts, along with passing the voting rights effort, and also providing enhanced resources to my own home community, dealing with infrastructure, health care, education, as I've done before. I've done millions of dollars, more than a lot of members of Congress, directly to schools. I've given schools direct funding from the federal government, which is major. But the violent extremism is really out of control. Well,
I'm glad you said that. We're going to have our Newsmakers Extras coming up. We got to talk more about that, because we're going to talk more about immigration, more in depth, about the George Santos, one of your colleagues in Congress now, who's pretty big liar, actually. We got much more to talk about. Newsmakers Extra. Go to the Newsmakers page on clicktohouston.com. You can find that. Congresswoman, thank you for coming in. We'll continue this conversation after the break, after bed.